Whenever you're ready, Madam Chair.
Okay, yeah, I know we're running a couple minutes late here.
We can go now.
Yeah.
All right, I'd like to call this meeting to order. The Lyon County Board of County Commissioners. This is Thursday, June 3rd, 2021. Action will be taken on all items unless otherwise noted. No action will be taken on any item until it's properly agendized. To avoid meeting disruptions, please place cell phones and beepers in the silent mode and turn them off during the meeting. The board reserves the right to take items in a different order to accomplish business in the most efficient manner. Items may be combined for consideration and items may be pulled or removed from the agenda at any time. Restrictions on comments by the general public. Any such restrictions must be reasonable and may restrict the time, place, and manner of the comments, but may not restrict comments based upon viewpoint. Board of County Commissioners convening as other boards. Members of the Board of County Commissioners also serve as the Liquor Board, Central Lyon Vector Control District Board, Mason Valley Mosquito Abatement District Board, Walker River Weed Control District Board, Willow Creek General Improvement District Board, the Silver Springs General Improvement District Board, and during this meeting may convene as any of those boards as indicated on this or a separately posted agenda. Note that if we're still here, this meeting might break between 11:30 and 1:30 for lunch. Number one, roll call. We have Commissioner Hockaday, Commissioner Henderson, myself, Commissioner Jacobson, and Commissioner Gray, all in chambers. And today's invocation is being given by Mitch Forster of the Mason Valley Southern Baptist, and following that will be our Pledge of Allegiance. And do we have Mitch? Yes. I never know where I'm looking.
Okay. Let's pray together. So our Father in heaven, we call upon you. We realize you're busy running the universe and the world affairs, but yet we know you're very concerned about our meeting today and each one of us. So we call upon you, the Almighty God, who has the power to answer our prayers, who has the power to give us wisdom and guidance and your discernment to govern this county. We thank you for each of these commissioners who have dedicated themselves to serve, and we do pray that you will give them your thoughts, your plans, your wisdom, that they can properly administer and rule in this county. We pray for each one that will present today. We pray that they will be able to do so in peace and in calmness, without fear. Father, we do pray that we will have no fear of man, but we will be able to boldly stand on the principles, the Constitution that our great country was given. And we pray that in this county that we will have the freedom and liberty that you have so lovingly granted to us. And we thank you for hearing our prayer. We pray this in the name of Jesus, your Son. Amen.
If you can please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, everyone. Okay, public participation. No action will be taken on any item until it's properly agendized. It is anticipated that public participation will be held at this time, though it may be returned to at any time during the agenda. Citizens wishing to speak during public participation are asked to state their name for the record and will be limited to 3 minutes. The board will conduct public comment after discussion of each agenda action item, but before the board takes any action. Afterwards, please print your name for the clerk, or if you're on Zoom, please spell your name for the clerk. So at this time, do we have anybody for public participation for something that's not on the agenda? Please step up and state your name for the record.
Commissioners, my name is Paul Eads. For the record, the last name is spelled E-A-D-S.
D as in Delta, ES. I'm here to represent Dayton Valley VFW Post 8660. And the issue that I have of my immediate concern for our post is the use of the Dayton Senior Center. I have been a member of this post since April of 2008. And during that entire time, our post had used the Senior Center at a nominal cost that we paid to the county until the COVID lockdown occurred, and we were told that we were not able to use that facility any further, and we had to seek another location, which we did. As of last week on Thursday, we were allowed to return to the Senior Center, and when we came in there, we found that much of our post property that had previously been hung on the walls with the approval of previous senior citizen center managers had all been taken down and put in storage boxes. And what disturbed us most was that quite a number of those items had been labeled by whoever it was that took it down, do not rehang. One of those items is our post charter, which is the official document from the Veterans of Foreign Wars that allow us to be in existence at all. The reason I came today is to request information regarding the use of the facility and if the county has a policy on posting information on the walls of county facilities. What should we do in order to gain approval or meet whatever requirements the county may impose on organizations like ours? And I should also note that immediately adjacent to the wall space that we were utilizing, that the Lions Club had all of their stuff pulled down and put into storage as well. So that's two organizations in Dayton that have been affected
You
by
have 20 seconds.
that issue. And so that's where I am. To find out if you have anything that I can refer to in the way of county policy.
Well, I'm going to refer you to our county manager. Maybe the two of you on a break, Jeff, could address this.
Thank you.
Madam Chair, can I make a comment along the same lines? A couple comments?
Well, we're under public participation. Can we wait till we get to the commissioner comments?
Okay.
Thank you.
So, yes, and like I said, please get with Mr. Page. I believe he just gave you his card, and this was brought to our attention, and we'll see what we do. Go ahead and state your name for the record, even though I know you.
My name is Russ Wright. I live in Dayton. I have to give some counsel to Jeff Page. Don't ever put a microphone this close to me. I can't resist. I was at the ribbon cutting ceremony yesterday for the new Boys and Girls Club that's now in Dayton. It says the Boys and Girls Clubs of Mason Valley, but it includes the whole county. And as a taxpayer and as a citizen of Dayton, I want to pass on how how proud I am of this commission and the employees you have, specifically Jeff Page and Josh Foley. They got real accolades for their efforts in securing the building and the funding and the CARES money and who cares money and so on and so forth. And as a citizen of Dayton, I want you guys to know that we're real pleased. Why am I doing this? Real pleased that you have people like Jeff and Josh that jump into the fray and make things happen.
Thank you. Do we have anybody else for public comment? Do we have anybody online?
I'm looking right now, ma'am. No hands up.
Okay, seeing none, I'm going to get the agenda approved. Let's move on to that one. For possible action, review and adoption of the agenda.
So moved. Second.
Okay, I have a motion by Commissioner Gray, seconded by Commissioner Jacobson. Any further discussion? Public comment? Seeing none, all in favor signal by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay, motion passes. Do you want to note at this time, we do have 2 time certains this morning. One at 9:30 a.m., presentation only, Lyon County Sheriff's Technology Team presentation on equipment and availability throughout the county. And at 9:45, possible action, acceptance of renewal proposal from Nevada Public Agency Insurance Pool and approval for a payment from fiscal year 2021 to 2022 funds. All right, number 7, presentations. Do we have anything today, Jeff?
No, ma'am.
All right, county commissioner reports. I will start with Commissioner Gray.
Glad to be back. I apologize for missing last meeting. I do want to dovetail onto Paul Eads' comments as well. From what I've checked, a lot of those awards and things for the post in 8660 have been hanging there since, like I said, as far back as I can tell, 1994. And checking with the other senior centers, they've got displays, veterans displays, things hanging on the walls also. So personally, I think, I'd say it shows what a lot of our, guys are doing out there. And it's, I can't see any reason why it shouldn't be hanging on the wall. The other thing is that when they showed up for their meeting, I believe it was last Thursday, they tried to turn them away. The senior center service manager tried to turn them away and said they would have to reschedule their meeting. It wasn't going to be that night. So I don't know what the issue is there, but something needs to be worked out. They've got a schedule they have to keep, and it's never been an issue in the past. I mean, they've been signing out keys, going in and locking everything up. As far as I know, there's never been any issues. So we just need to figure out a way to get back on track with that. And that is all I've got.
Okay, Commissioner Jacobson.
Just a couple things. Took a busload of 11, 12-year-olds to the Northern Nevada Veterans Cemetery for cleanup in preparation to honor our veterans that are buried there and make it look, help spruce it up for the honored guests that were coming over Memorial Day weekend. And was able to visit again Monday afternoon and to see all the flags and people kneeling and visiting grave sites. It was very emotional. So I want to give another shout out to all of our veterans. And also I'd just like to wish all our graduates a very long, productive life. And very proud of them. And it is an exciting time. And they really probably persevered through a year and a half that no other graduating class can even imagine in the past. So I wish them well as they move on.
Thank you. Commissioner Hockaday.
We had an excellent cleanup day out in Smith Valley. Had a big turnout, took care of the entire cemetery. And then on Memorial Day, we had a great turnout and ceremony out there. So I'm really happy with the people that came out and showed respect and also worked hard to get the place looking fantastic and put out flags. Second, the Sierra Valley Advisory Board didn't have a quorum last night, so we did discuss some things about the cemetery. No action was taken, but discussed a few things about how the cleanup went and how we can do better in the future. We also discussed some new programs that the county's looking at for cemetery plot location and how that's going to work. Basically put everything off until next month when hopefully we can have some more members in the advisory board and get a quorum so that we can conduct business. But that's about all for the report.
Okay, thank you, Commissioner Hockaday. Commissioner Henderson.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I spent a day in jail last week. I spent some time in the control room and learned a little bit about their operations, then spent some time with the records department and also with dispatch. Got a sneak preview from Sergeant Lynch of the toy we're going to look at here in a little while, and I'm very impressed with that. Also attended the Silver City and Dayton Regional Advisory Boards this week. A lot of questions about what are allowable uses for the money that we're getting from the federal government. There's a lot of interest in spending that, helping us spend that. And you know, some of the items that were brought up are very, very needed. Went to the Dayton Boys and Girls Club grand opening yesterday. It's a great facility, something that we definitely need. I do appreciate our former commission taking the pro action that they took to get that building sited and furnished. And because, you know, if we don't find something productive for our kids to do, they're going to find something to do that may not be as productive. So I really appreciate the fact that we have that club up and running in the Dayton area. And as a private citizen, I have to say I'm embarrassed by our legislature and hope that we can recover from the damage that they did. And that's all.
All I can say is thank God for Simon dying. Now it's good to find out where they buried the bodies. Anyways, I saw you smiling. And so yeah, Monday, it was really nice to be able to go out to the Fernley Veterans Cemetery. Last year with COVID, they weren't able to have their ceremony that they've had every year. So it was nice to actually get to attend again this year. I know that the Northern Nevada Veterans Coalition wanted to do the same job that they've always done every year, but unfortunately they were delayed in getting approval from the state that they could actually have their memorial service. So, but given that it was the last minute putting together, I thought it was quite nice, and it was great to see that lack of advertisement. I mean, I've seen years where there was, 600, 700 people out there, and I didn't do a head count, but I'm sure there was well over, I don't know, Ken, what do you think? Somewhere between 200 and 300 probably?
No, I think,
Spread
yeah, I
out.
was looking at the cars, I was trying to get a count of the cars. I think it was closer to 400.
Do you? Yeah,
Because it
I
was-
mean, it was a good turnout considering. And so it was great to see everybody. Congressman Amity came out and did a little speech for us. And so it was a good day. I also attended the ribbon cutting for the Boys and Girls Club yesterday. And yeah, I'm truly impressed with what they've done with what was supposed to be a tire shop. So looks pretty good. And with all the money that the chamber has raised in Dayton, they're going to get their playground. And in fact, if I heard numbers correctly, they raised well over what their projected amount was. So that was exciting. And I'm looking forward to going to the Silver Springs High School graduation tonight. So it's kind of my thing. I always go, even though whether I have a kid graduating that year or not. So anyways, looking forward to that. And these kids have endured a hard year. I know last year's graduations were a little different as well. And we made that work. And I think this year's obviously going to be a little better now that we can at least be closer than 6 feet. So with that, I will turn it over to County Manager Page.
Good morning, Commissioners. It always concerns me when a commissioner starts off the report with, "I spent the day in jail." But I'm glad you clarified, Commissioner.
Consider the
Source, Mr. Page, that doesn't surprise the rest of us, all right?
So in regards to the policy in the Dayton Valley, Dayton Senior Center, or any county building, the Board of Commissioners has adopted over the years a building use policy, and it brings you to 4.3. Groups or individuals may not store personal or real property within county buildings or on county sites. The event applicant or group shall provide its own furnishings, equipment, and other equipment not existing within the building or site. The county may provide any specialized or unique equipment, furnishings, audiovisual aids, other items on an individual and as available basis. The groups that I know for, based upon the testimony given earlier and conversation with Shayla and the Human Services Director, that we've had a number of organizations, Lions Club, VFW, AA, those folks who have hung their stuff on the walls, and the senior centers that went, because of COVID, have taken those down, painted, cleaned up, and we've had a number of new people come in, and they're looking at the policy and enforcing the policy. So that is the issue. In regards to scheduling, that's something that we can work on and improve that process as well. We haven't had anything in our buildings for a year plus, and we have a number of new people, so getting that back into the routine that it was. I can tell you from the senior center perspective, going to get a key, doing all that good stuff. So we will move forward from there. I do want to comment on Mr. Wright's compliment to Josh and I in regards to the Boys and Girls Club of Mesa Valley. One, I heard had a number of people come to me and want to know why Yerington was controlling the Dayton Boys and Girls Club. Okay. Boys and Girls Club of America sets standards as to what can actually be a club, and you have to have 2 years worth of capital before you can be your own club. None of the Silver Springs, Dayton, the Fernley Club is actually run by Truckee Meadows. None of those entities. That's why Fernley says Boys and Girls Club of Truckee Meadows. Okay? So it's not that Yerington, because for 36 years now I've been listening how Yerington controls everything. So the next comment I have to make is not meant to be a smart aleck comment, but is if you want to be involved with your youth, you want to be involved with the Boys and Girls Club, call Travis, get on the board of directors. When I was on the board of directors, we pushed and pushed. We had a commissioner from Dayton. Commissioner Fira was on the board of directors for a while. Try to get some people, the people who have interest in their community, to be involved with the board of directors. Call Travis, find out what the requirements are, and please. And then you can say that you had a say in what happens in the Boys and Girls Club of Mesa Valley. And it's not just Yerington controlling everything, because they also have a club in Hawthorne, which isn't even in our county. So, but I was very pleased with the turnout. I was utterly amazed at the building. Phenomenal job. So kudos to them. You're going to see some significant changes in our community development department July 1st. Monday morning, myself and staff will be interviewing 3 applicants for the community development director position. I anticipate having that person on board end of June, beginning of July. We have 2 Far West employees in the building department who are leaving the employment of Far West. One of them is Gail Laux, who was a building inspector for Lyon County for years. Came out of retirement, worked for Far West, and has decided once again he'd like to retire. I can't blame him there. And the second one is Joel Brown, who is our does the plan reviews, those kinds of things. He has decided he wants to get back into the PERS system. Has taken a job with the city of Yerington as their community development director, planner, building official extraordinary. It's a small city, one guy, one-stop shop, right? So he is leaving at the end of the month to do a couple 3 years in PERS, so he can draw PERS retirement and move on to the next chapter of his life. And then we have an admin assistant leaving to deal with family issues, those kinds of things, and Lisa Homeldad. So she's leaving. We're interviewing a week from tomorrow. I think tomorrow, in the next week for that position. So we're seeing some changes there, and we're very excited about getting the community development director on. We have 3 really extremely qualified applicants who come from a wide variety of backgrounds, and not all of them are just planning related. So we anticipate to have some pretty interesting interviews, and hopefully we bring a qualified candidate and make a good offer. And the last thing I want to discuss is actually 2 things. The first one is if the board will help us in the public safety arena. This is the first Memorial Day weekend that I wasn't somewhere in the county for 2 or 3 days because of a wildfire. So kudos to the population for not shooting propane tanks with 30-06s. Because that's been the cause of some of these fires. But if you can help us when people are talking or you're in groups, remind them that this is going to be an extremely dry year. We anticipate significant wind events, and all it takes is one spark and we're burning stuff down. And so it helps when everybody involved understands the message and can work with us. And if you see smoke, call 911. The sooner that we can get resources there, the sooner we can keep it at a 1 acre issue versus a 5,000 acre issue or a 15,000 acre issue. And then the last thing is I want to, especially the new board members, I have received nothing but positive comments back from department directors about you folks calling them in regards to agenda items or questions, giving them the opportunity to answer your question, ensure you understand what the agenda item is, and understanding that you may ask that question during the meeting, but it helps prepare them to be prepared for the meeting. So the more we can communicate and get those questions asked and answered, sometimes you come up with something we hadn't thought of. So we appreciate your input, and we strongly encourage you to continue providing that input. That's it. Anything else? Questions?
Any questions for Jeff?
I had a request. I'd like to do a policy review on that policy
Okay.
of private organizations that use senior centers regularly. Because it's not just the Dayton Senior Center. It's, I mean, the other senior centers have stuff on as well. So.
Okay. Not time yet. Okay, elected official reports. Do we have any other elected? Oh, yep, we got one jumping up real quick. Mr. Lyons.
He's got a graduation.
You wouldn't even let me read it in. You were like on that.
Thank you, sir.
Morning. Thank you.
Thank you.
Congratulations on the graduation.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Good morning. For the record, Troy Lyons, Lyon County Assessor. Per NRS 250.085, Section 4, and I'll read that to you quickly. On or before July 1st of each year, the County Assessor shall submit to the Board of County Commissioners a report of the projected expenditures of the money in the account for the following fiscal year. Any money remaining in the account at the end of the fiscal year that has not been committed for expenditure reverts to the county general fund. So per this statute, I submit this technology fee report to you for the 2021-22 fiscal year. For some of the newer boards of the member, I believe it was some time ago, was it Assemblyman Grady, I think? Jeff, do you remember? That created a technology fund for certain offices within the county offices, and it's truly helped my office out, the recorder's office and the clerk treasurer's office. So, so if there's any questions?
Any questions for Mr. Lyons?
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other elected officials for reports today? Do we have anybody online today, Jeff?
No, ma'am.
Okay. All right, appointed official reports. Mr. Burketta.
Commissioners, David Burketta for the record. It's good to be back here in chambers and be able to actually talk to you, not on Zoom. So I know this is the second meeting, but just two things I wanted to update you on real quick. And the first is as a follow-up to what Jeff said. You know, obviously it's very dry. We're in a severe drought. Commissioner Gray, I know, you get updates from the Subconservancy quite a bit on that. In the Dayton Mound House area, in our service area, we do have a robust water supply there. Effective June 1st, we implemented just routine conservation methods as part of our ordinance. It's something that the board doesn't have to take any action on or do anything with. And it's just basically the odd, even address. There's certain times in which we can water and not water. There is some ordinance on what are called water wasters and the definition of it. So, we'll be proactive in this process with the existing staff that we do have. And just to let you know, within the ordinance too, and I don't foresee this coming, but if it did have to happen, there is some ordinance that says that at the direction of the board, we can take more aggressive stance in watering restrictions, but that would have to come in front of you. But there is ordinance on that. But at this point, we're not close to that. So I want to give you an update on that. And then the second thing is just real general project costs. So as you know, we have a lot of water and sewer projects coming forward, and with the current state of the economy, we're seeing a lot of fluctuation in the cost of the projects just because as suppliers, it's a supply and demand issue. Construction costs are going up anywhere from, we're seeing numbers from 50% to 400%. So we're not going to know where a lot of this stuff comes out until we get out. We are working actively with our engineers. talking to other entities and seeing what they're doing and how we're going to manage this. So I just wanted to give you an update on that, we could see quite a bit of volatility in the next 6 months with project costs. So with that, I'd be happy to answer any questions you have.
You got any good news?
Yeah, that we're open. We can talk.
Yeah.
And
Thank you.
Any questions?
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of course, the prevailing wage trigger is automatically adjusted to account for inflation, correct?
Yeah, that would be, yeah. But I think that's the least of our worries. I mean, right now we're just, I can tell you like one of the Western Nevada Supply, one of the biggest suppliers here, they bottom line, they can't get a lot of the construction equipment. And so that's leading to some significant cost increases. With electrical instrumentation and controls upwards of they're anticipating 400% increase. So we'll see where it goes, but I'll give you an update. We do quarterly updates now for our construction schedules. I didn't want to bring them back every single month because a lot of them were in design, but in July, we'll do an update where we are with our capital projects. Thank you.
Any other questions? Thank you. Any other appointed officials? Mr. Foley.
Josh Foley, Lyon County Comptroller. For the record, I thought about not coming up because you don't like bad news when I come up. So, but David gave you some, so I'm like, hey, I'll join the crowd.
Straight by the fire's hot.
I have balls right here.
Shoot, you should have told me that before I got up here.
And I still don't have one. I think that's a purpose.
Thank you, I appreciate it. Okay, so just a handful of things I wanted to bring up for you. Fair Board met last night. Their contracts that they're getting for the vendors are coming in higher than what they had budgeted for this year. And of course, the budget's already done, so we can't amend it other than by augmenting, having more revenue than we think that we did at budget time. So they're going to be holding a special meeting on the 16th to take a look at the event prices that they're charging for the events, because they haven't raised some of those fees for many years. And so they're looking at increasing those a little bit to make up the difference. And talking to the stock contractor that runs the rodeo, his fees, as an example, went up $2,500 from the previous rodeo that we had. And he said that what he's been seeing is the different venues have been raising their event prices and still selling out. And so they're taking a look at that, saying, well, we haven't raised it for a number of years, so they're going to address that on the 16th that evening, just so you're aware. Also, speaking of project pricing increasing, the fiber project that we're piggybacking with the city of Yerington to do between this building and the Justice Complex and Dispatch has gone up approximately $30-some thousand just in materials. And so what we're doing right now is working with the engineer to say, we asked for a 4-inch pipe that had enough room to pull a number of different conduits. We think we can get by with a 2-inch pipe, and as long as we put a conduit that has enough fiber bundles in it, we'll never have to pull again down that. And so we're checking the pricing on that, so we don't have as significant a price increase, but we'll come back to you and let you know what happened on that. The ARPA funding, I know we had the discussion last meeting on what you could spend it for. One of the questions was shovel-ready projects. It does not have a provision in there that directly addresses that. There haven't been any questions that have been clarified yet, although I'm going to put that out to NACO and see if they can ask that question. My interpretation based on the existing guidance would be shovel-ready projects don't qualify. You have to have a project that actually goes in for infrastructure that's completed by December 31st, 2026 to qualify for it. So that would be my initial guidance on the safe side, but we'll get the question asked and see what we can do on those projects. The other piece that I'm having a challenge with on coming back on recommending how to spend the money is exactly what Mr. Burketta brought up to you. He's got 3 projects out that are getting close to being bid, I think. Sometime in the next 2-3 months, we'll be close, I'm hoping, maybe 4 months. And we're anticipating some significant price increases, which we didn't budget for. It's not like we have a bunch of cash sitting there that we're like, oh, gee, where are we going to spend this? And so potentially this, if the board chooses this funding, could be used to help cover those increased prices as well over what the engineer's original estimate was going to be. So that's one option. So what I'm contemplating at this point, because I'm not going to know for a number of months what those bids come in at, is maybe just coming to the board with a general plan. Hey, why don't you allocate X dollars towards utility slash stormwater projects, and maybe allocate X amount towards whatever of the different pieces. Bring that back as a general concept, and then we can fine tune it as we go along. So I was just wanted to bring the board up to date on, I've been going back and forth like, geez, how do I come up with that? Because in the past, usually I would say, here's this project, like the Boys and Girls Club project, let's put X dollar amounts towards it, and so on and so forth. But I don't think we're going to be able to do that easily at this point. And then tax rates will be, those have been finalized by all the different budgets. So it'll be on your next agenda to certify those, which you have to do by state law. Just to give you a heads up, it's coming. That's all I have for you this morning.
You're so much fun, Josh.
What
Any
was the-
questions for Mr. Foley?
What was the final amount we got in CARES money?
I don't remember off the top of my head. It seemed like it was just over $5.9 million. And we have allocated or spent all of that funding already. So,
Did I hear you say we'll never have to pull anything else through that 2-inch pipe? Never? All right, that is like jinxing us, big guy.
I know. So we went.
That's all right, you don't need.
Yes, we had that discussion in depth in the IT department and went through and we said, okay, if all of the things we have planned, we're planning on using 3 pair of fiber through that currently. We're pulling 24 pair of fiber through it. So hopefully, and they're increasing the technology where you can actually transmit more over the same fiber all of the time. And so I shouldn't have said that. I know it can jinx us. I apologize, sir.
Yeah, because the next will be the whole supply and demand and the prices, and you won't be able to get the 2-inch pipe over the 4-inch pipe, and yeah.
Don't jinx us.
I know. I'm getting calls from people all over the state, not just our county, going, where do we go? The price is one problem. The bigger problem is they can't get product. It's not out there.
Yeah.
So, just saying.
Yes. Okay. Anything else? Do you have any questions for
Any other? No. Commissioner Hockaday.
Well,
Yeah,
first of
we're gonna
all,
let you go yet.
yeah. Thank you, Madam Chair. I would really appreciate not using the term shovel ready because I believe the federal government came up with a lot of mud on their face based on that term. Projected projects might be better because in most cases, that's what we're doing is projecting things out. Second, since the majority of these shortages are due to the virus, maybe we should go back and ask if we can use some of the money that we are going to get from the feds to cover the situation that we're in now where we're coming up with 30,000 short here, 50,000 short there, since as we're supposed to use this money to take care of all the problems that the virus caused to the counties. I don't know if that's a possibility of going back and asking if that's a use for our say windfall of federal tax dollars that we're going to get.
And just to address that really quickly, I believe 100% we can use it on the sewer projects. On the fiber project, it prohibits infrastructure, which is that is considered infrastructure, even if it is an impact by COVID. So I would like to do that, but they've already prohibited that one. But on the sewer projects, we can do that.
But isn't it true that they change the rules for, month or two after they come out with the original rules? I think we were discussing that about every 2 weeks they come out with something new based on questions that are brought up. So if we bring up the question, we might get an answer we like.
I will definitely bring up the question. Absolutely. My experience has been when they change the rules, they keep shrinking what you can spend it on, not increasing. But we'll cross our fingers and see what we can come up with.
Thank you.
Uh-huh.
Anybody else? Questions for Mr. Foley? Okay. I'll let you go now.
Thank you.
With all your great news. between you and Mr. Burketta. Jeez.
All right.
Yeah, set the tone. Jeez. All right, it is late enough now. We're gonna go to item 6A, time certain, 9:30 a.m., presentation only, the Lyon County Sheriff's Technology Team presentation on equipment and availability throughout the county.
Good morning, Commissioners. Ed Kilgore, Under Sheriff for the Sheriff's Office. I'm standing here before you in Sheriff Honeywell's stead. He had a prior commitment. I'm really excited to introduce Sergeant Dan Lynch. He's our technology team leader. And thank you. And what we've been able to do thus far with the approval and the funds from your board. Dan's got a pretty good PowerPoint presentation. He asked if he could fly that around and over your heads, and I said no. He's a very good pilot too, but he's got a lot of information and some very on the ground experience with what this technology can do for us, and not only us, the citizens of Lyon County.
I see what you did there on the ground.
You know. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you, sir. Good morning. Thank you all. So I have a brief PowerPoint presentation I'd like to show you, just give you an overview of sort of what we're looking at, what we do, and the applications for the systems that we operate. And then be welcome any questions anyone has about what we do. So is this the, there we go. All right, so the Lyon County Technology Team was created in 2017 with the goal of recognizing emerging technologies and bringing these technologies to use by the Sheriff's Department. Obviously, a lot of stuff's happening in technology, and we are seeing that drones were going to be a pretty important part, but we have other things that we operate as well. The first is we have a robot that we obtained through the DRMO program, which is the military surplus program that's available to law enforcement agencies. It has two-way voice communication, video, and thermal capabilities, and it can be sent into locations we don't want to send people, like tactical and hazmat situations. We operate drones. So the drones we initially brought to the team were privately purchased drones that guys like myself just bought and were flying around. We branched out and purchased a used drone, and then we obtained 2 drones through a grant from the Lyon County School District. That was very helpful for us. And then in just this last year, we purchased a larger drone with the enhanced capabilities, which is what you see here before you. So we have tactical drones. These are the small ones that we anticipate putting into patrol deputies' cars to help them out. The Lyon County Sheriff's Office has 3. These are Maverick drones. Drones have different capabilities. They're only for short range operation or observation. They have no payload capability and no ability to stand off and observe the actual target. They have to fly directly over the objects that we're looking for or at. We have larger drones. This is the newest one. This is a Matrice 300. It has the ability to lift and drop payloads. The drone has mounting points for cameras and other equipment, allowing the operator to choose appropriate equipment for the mission. The cameras, we have, I have both of the camera systems that we currently own attached to the drone in front of you. We have the, right here, we have the current zoom camera. It has the capability to zoom in to up to 180 times. It can get in there and it can see pretty good. Allows the operator to see human-sized targets moving at ranges of several miles. If you look here, this is a picture taken from the Lyon County Sheriff's Office range, looking north in Silver Springs towards the substation. You can't see the substation in that picture, but that same picture taken seconds later in reduced light is what you can see. You can see the corner of the substation there. It gives you an idea of what kind of capabilities we have to use with that camera. Yes, it's 4.5 miles as the crow flies. Okay, the second camera we have here is a thermal imaging camera. It could be detached, allows us to choose the right mission payload for the mission. We can see differences in heat given off by different objects. This is accompanied by an optical camera, so there's 2 cameras in one, and we can use them in conjunction with each other because thermal in and of itself can get pretty blurry. So we have the capability to do an optical overlay. And so this is some images that we took. That's a play structure at the out-of-town park in Fernley, and just a picture of my patrol car so you can see what it can do. We also have a drop device that we can attach to the drone. It can lift a payload of 8 pounds and then drop it with reasonable accuracy. We have a life vest which inflates automatically when it hits the water. And we're working with search and rescue to have bags available to drop to people who are stranded that we can't get to quickly. So if someone's stranded up on a cliff face that's going to take us a while to get there, we can drop them a cell phone, water, what have you, to be able to get some help going. We've used them for many missions. We searched for missing people and evidence, mapped crime scenes, photographed infrastructure, supported the fire departments, and supported tactical operations within the sheriff's office. This image right here is a grow, a marijuana grow that was that's hidden in a back corner of our county, and we flew over and photographed it, and it turned out to be significantly larger than they had originally thought. That's the end of the PowerPoint presentation. Sir, on that stick, there was a small clip. We shot this one clip just this weekend at the lake. We were operating in support of search and rescue out there. I think it shows a good image of what the drop system works for. I'm sorry. So hopefully it'll play. This is unedited footage. So
You guys are the first ones to see this too.
I opened it with the VLC.
Doing good. How you doing? You good?
Yeah, looks like we get audio. Looks like we get audio only then, huh?
There you go.
Can we open it with the VLC? Yeah.
Can you right click on it with the mouse and then give us some options on what we can open? Okay. It's installing a codec, so.
Yeah, okay. Well, understood. So we may or may not get this, there was some issues with opening it on another system, but we got through that. But anyway, so these are the capabilities. These are the systems that we operate. Is there any questions about what we have here?
Looks pretty cool.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I don't have a good display table for you.
How you doing? You good?
Sorry.
Audio again.
Yeah.
Jeff, can you right click it and see if you can open it with a different program?
But yeah, I threw my son in the lake and dropped the life vest to him to see if it worked. And he didn't die, so it seems like it works fairly well.
VLC media player. Try and use the VLC media player.
Yeah, that's what I had success with online.
Doing good.
Mr. Lynch,
Thanks,
so
technology, great.
with that, you were telling me a little bit about it too, about the life vest. I thought that was very interesting.
Yes, sir.
There you go.
Tell about that life vest.
Oh, well,
How you doing? You good?
This is actually it in operation here. And the life vest is a droppable system. Again, we have the drop system that's available. And when you drop the life vest, when it hits the water, it causes a cartridge to fire and it inflates the life vest, allowing the person to presumably be saved. And it should be able to float about 3 people according to the Coast Guard standard.
I was going to give you extra points for hitting the head.
Well, I didn't show the brick one later.
Right?
But that's probably enough. It gives you an overview of the system, and that allows us to get a life vest to someone on a body of water a lot faster than we can with the boat. And talking with the boat crew with the search and rescue, they're looking at about a 7 to 8 minute launch time to get the boat into the water and get rolling to where it needs to be. This drone will fly at about 40 miles an hour, and we can fly straight as the crow flies. So
is that the bigger drone?
yes, the smaller drone won't lift anything at all.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's that bigger guy, right?
Yeah, no, that's the big system that we just bought with a lot of capabilities.
Can you use these to clear buildings and stuff? I mean, is there a strong enough signal where you could send it into a clear building?
We would have to use a different system. All these drones rely heavily on GPS, and if you block the GPS signal, they lose their mind. So we need to, if we have them flying off of Bluetooth, and they make smaller ones that are specifically designed for that can be flown into buildings and are actually very good at that. And we're looking at that, and that'll be a funding issue in later years.
Any other questions?
Sorry.
Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Yeah, just a comment. When I was visiting you last week, you said that there's a possibility in the future to expand the fleet, but at a lower cost because you wouldn't need to buy all the ancillary equipment again.
That's correct.
So you could reuse the cameras or the battery packs or whatnot.
Right. So in this configuration that you see in front of you, I don't anticipate flying in that configuration very often because the need for an optical camera and a thermal camera at the same time isn't as important. And then that way, and we will at some point in time probably crash this thing. We won't lose everything. And it's a modular system. There's a lot of payload packages that are available. We can use extenders for ELT systems for downed aircraft. They have radiological sensors, hazmat sensors, so we can fly a drone through a hazmat area without having to expose firemen or law enforcement to the chemicals and figure out what we're dealing with before we ever get there.
Commissioner Gray.
What's their flight time?
The smallest drone, we get just shy of about 25 minutes out of normal use. Of course, there's a lot of things that go into that depending on wind and payload and so on. With the larger drone, we're getting about 50 minutes of flight time.
Where are they kept in the county? I mean, like we talked about Lyon with the vest and stuff. What's the response time to get that out there?
Oh, that's yeah. It would have to be while search and rescue is out there or myself. That drone resides in the back of my patrol car. The other drones are in the cars of the certified pilots within the agency, and we try to keep them in Fernley here in Mason and here in Dayton, so we have some air support available. It's a lot cheaper than helicopters.
Have you guys figured out what the blade time is on this compared to, say, Raven?
Oh, well.
Cost per hour?
No, but I mean, Raven's in the many thousands of dollars per hour. And we don't really have much maintenance costs. We haven't had to do anything more than buy a few spare propellers. And our charge for each one of these things is about 3/4 cent for the battery to charge it. So it's just the time for the operator.
So eventually, it would be nice to have these in every car. So no matter what the situation.
That would be a very ideal situation, but I think.
Well, the wish list.
Well, that's right. Madam Chair, that's what I was where I was going is maybe the Mavics, the little guys, the more affordable ones in each car. That would require the guys to be licensed to fly them, and then maybe one of the larger ones, in strategic points around the county. How much was the larger one? 20.
The larger one with all the included costs was $24,700, I believe. But that's with the battery charging station, both the cameras, all the stuff we needed to keep it operational, because we can put that thing up and fly it and keep it rolling for 4 hours. And if we have an electrical source, we can charge the batteries as they're coming off of the drone. And theoretically, with the 4 sets of batteries we have, we can fly indefinitely.
So it'd be cost effective to have one at each substation, one of the bigger ones at each sub, and then the little Mavics. The little Mavics are
the smaller Mavics. There's a lot of price differences on them. I'm sorry, I'm responding to this.
Yes, because the little Mavics are running about $1,000 right now, aren't they? Pretty well equipped.
Yes, pretty fair. We would definitely want to buy some more batteries with them because they suck up the batteries real quick. But
Commissioner Hockaday.
Yeah, Sergeant Lynch. We had the carjacking out in Smith Valley a couple months back, and the perps were roaming around for about 8 hours. The thermal, will that help us on this to maybe locate people like that are wandering around neighborhoods and pick them up before somebody else living in a house happens to pick them up before you?
Yeah, there's of course there's a lot of differing things, but in an ideal situation, or in that situation, this would have been an ideal platform because we're not looking at in the city, there's a lot of different heat sources that are available, but out in Smith Valley in a rural setting, there's not a lot of heat sources besides animals and people. So it would be an excellent system for area searches for people, and that's what we've been using it for with search and rescue too.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Commissioner Gray.
One final question. Is the thermal imaging on this one, is it sensitive enough to pick up disturbed earth syndrome? So it's not.
No, that the resolution on that is fairly poor. I want to say it's only like a 200 or 300 pixel camera, and that's why it's supplemented with the optical camera. And to purchase one of those cameras that's a higher level, we'd have to go to a lot more. But when we're just looking at for a actual human being, we felt that this was fair.
That works.
Just curious, I mean, how often do you have to reach out and get a helicopter in the area?
We actually, I believe 2 months ago, had a helicopter that was that we brought out in support of search and rescue, and we called out Raven for that.
Right. So yeah, so I was just kind of wondering, you know, as our population is growing and things are happening, so it is something definitely on the wish list for the future. Because the cost is definitely less than calling Raven.
I'm very certain that these will be replacing Raven in a very short order. The cost of operating it with the lives of the air crew and the cost of paying for the air crew versus the cost of paying me and not paying. And I mean, if I crash it, then I just look stupid and we lost, you know, some $1,000, but big difference.
Madam Chair, I was going to just rephrase your question a little bit because I know Raven is prohibitively expensive in a lot of cases. How often, if we had unlimited resources, should we be calling Raven? And you know, how often do you actually envision us? How often do you actually envision us being able to employ these where we could have used, say, Raven or some other air asset?
We are using these these are being currently used at least once a month in support of one operation or another. And if any operation where these would be handy, Raven would be handy. So I hope that answers your question.
Yeah, no, it's because I know there's times where Raven would be nice, but it's like, the cost doesn't justify. Throw these up in the air and away you go.
Yep. And we get a lot faster response time and a lot less cost.
So we're already saving money.
Oh, yeah.
Commissioner Jacobson.
I think it would be great. I mean, I'm all for kids and motorcycles, but they will ditch up the police. I know quite often. I think we could track these little scoundrels to their house with the thing, and we could drive there and get them.
Leave it to the principal.
Commissioner Anderson.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just applaud you guys for developing this program. I think this is a great use of technology. It's a cost-saving feature for the counties, and whatever money we spend on it, if we save one kid's life or catch one bad guy, it's well worth it. So thank you for your efforts. We really appreciate it.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate it too.
Make one last suggestion to the undersheriff there. Since he is our air asset officer and stuff, and if you're a Raven pilot in the military or above, you get your wings. He should be wearing his aviation wings. He should be.
Well,
I'm dead serious about that.
We have them,
Yeah.
and they are for the Category 8 uniform.
That's right.
And so since
not
I'm
for the daily
the
work.
patrol deputy down here today, I'm not in my.
But you could be called on at any time to run that asset.
I know once someone actually gets their pilot's license through the FAA, we issue them a set of pilot wings.
Sweet.
Okay, well, I think that was it. So what I'm going to do now, because I know that there was people in the audience looking to ask questions, since that was a presentation, let's take a break before our next presentation, and that gives people an opportunity to ask individual questions.
Yes,
Thank you guys for allowing us to
So
come today.
we'll be back in about 5 minutes. Thank you,
Thank you for
gentlemen.
your time. We appreciate it. Thank you, sir.
Oh, yeah.
What does it cost you to fly that?
Well, to charge a battery, it cost me just a couple of cents. That's
Okay.
Building is policy 4.03. Do you have an email address?
We are, the FAA restricts us from flying directly over people except in law enforcement operations.
I don't have anybody here right now.
And for public safety.
I can break the window out, and rub down
I
pipes.
will get
Something like that, yes. And there would be no problem with flying it off route and taking pictures from a distance to fly directly over any operation is prohibited.
If you have any further questions.
That's interesting. Because the first time they stopped, you stepped off, you right down the road grade route.
Well, that's the Air Force. They don't have to answer that yet.
Yeah, that's right.
Sir. Long time no see. How are you, sir?
That was fascinating. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Appreciate bringing the key out that rain. I sent you an email
We are now.
Okay, welcome back, everybody. We're gonna jump to 6B. Time certain was at 9:45 a.m. for possible action, acceptance of renewal proposal from Nevada Public Agency Insurance Pool and approval for payment from fiscal year 2021 to 2022 funds.
Good morning, Brad Pierce, for the record with A&H Insurance. I'd like to provide introductions initially to Kayla Woods, who is joining me as your current agents for the Lyon County NPAIP pool account. And in addition, Wayne Carlson. Wayne is the executive director of the pool, and he is actually the individual that basically created the pool back in 1987 and has been directing it from that point forward. I would begin by thanking you for the opportunity to present this. I see that we have it up on screen. I do have individual copies if anyone would like them.
Anybody need a copy? We're all good.
Everybody good? Okay.
They're in the agenda packet.
Very good.
Can those go to the public if they want one?
There are copies out front here if they want to.
So if you don't want them to go to waste and there's people here that would like them,
If
have
anyone
them.
is enthralled with the insurance, I would be more than happy to set them here. But again, we thank you for the opportunity to present this. As was stated, Lyon County has been a longstanding member, if you will, of this insurance pool. It was created in 1987. I believe Lyon County is one of the initial 4 counties that in the creation of this program. And Wayne, nod your head, hopefully, that I'm correct on that. With that, wanted to state that the program has been presented to your comptroller, Josh Foley, at a prior time. Kayla and I were down 2 weeks ago. I, not saying this jokingly, but your comptroller has done a marvelous job with any and all aspects of maintaining the various elements of it. Josh serves as the vice chairman of the executive committee with this group and also has convinced us, A&H Insurance, of the desire and necessity of cutting our commission levels. So he has done a wonderful job on behalf of the county. So I will throw that in. With that, why don't we go ahead and take a look at this. I would begin with just some very brief comments. As you can see, there is a direction and cover letter from Wayne, who is here today to answer any further questions. In addition to that, there's a state of the market, and basically it's an overview that was prepared in reference to the insurance industry as a whole. It isn't specific to Lyon County per se, but it gives an overview as to what is happening in the marketplace. As I think all of us are aware, on the property side, the fire hazards, things that are going on throughout the country have been absolutely horrendous as far as that element. In addition, the liability, you're seeing much, much higher costs of settlement, litigation, et cetera. You're seeing new terms coming into the marketplace, i.e. nuclear verdicts. I don't know if it's a term that anyone has heard of. Basically, you're seeing verdicts in above $100 million termed a nuclear verdict at this point. So you're seeing those sorts of things in the marketplace. And then finally, you have other elements, i.e. the sexual abuse and molestation that's going on, the various aspects of communicable diseases, et cetera, all the other things that are entering into the realm of insurance now. One of the key ones that we just want to touch on is throw out cyber coverages, which are now very much a large part of our day-to-day existence, actually. They've been addressed in this program a couple of years ago, but want to make sure that everyone's aware of it. Touching on the limits very quickly, and I don't want to belabor this with you folks unless you'd like to really get into the depths on it, but on the property side, you're sitting here with a $300 million blanket as far as the values on the property. Lyon County currently has, I think, 142 million in exposed properties, if you will. But again, there's a blanket within this program of $300 million. In this case, subject to a $25,000 maintenance deductible in place that was selected by the county. You have $150 million sublimit on the flood and earthquake elements, and in addition to some other very good sublimits that are in place. On the liability, the program maintains $10 million in limits. Very good sublimits again. As I mentioned before, sexual abuse and molestation has been added into the programs. There are $2.5 million in coverages for that particular element. On the cyber liability, which I again mentioned before, there's currently $3 million in limits. Environmental liability has been added to the program. Again, our presentation probably isn't as interesting as the drone presentation, but we were looking at one another saying, do we have drone coverage? And yes, you do have drone coverage on your within your program. So I would throw that in. On the specifics of the program as relates to the county, I would direct you to, first of all, page 8, which is the pricing page on this thing. And the total program cost is up 4.2% over the prior year with some of the reductions that were made at $695,000. And on a brief basis, the payrolls within the county are up 1.94%. The auto count is up 8 vehicles or 2.6%. Your total insured values, as I mentioned, have gone from 138 million to 142.8 million or 3.4%. So there have been increases kind of across the board with your particular exposures. The other element that obviously impacts the pricing piece on this is the claims history for each and every entity. And referencing Lyon County, basically last year the policy was rated subject to a very, very low prior year loss history. There had been actually a couple of claims, but they really hadn't trended at the point in time that the policy was put in place last year. They have, in fact, trended upwards, as you would assume from my comments, and you actually had approximately $400,000 in losses for the 2019 policy year. So give you a better handle on that. Obviously, there was a large fire in Dayton. There were a couple of, I guess you'd say, officer-involved incidents, and there were claims against, I think, Fourth Amendment piece. And so those have been taken into the loss history on this. In reference to moving forward on the discussion, I think I'd like to have Wayne basically make a couple of comments and then answer questions in reference to the utilization of the program by yourselves. So, Wayne.
Yeah, Wayne Carlson, I'm the executive director, and I am the culpable party for starting the pool in the first place as a result of a industry-wide liability crisis for public sector. When we started the program, the fourth county that was a member was Douglas County, which gave us the critical capacity to initiate the program. And they had no coverage back then because they had lost their coverage. That's how bad the market was in the mid-'80s. And so we had to get legislation passed to allow pooling. And we got it done unanimously in the 85 session. So being able to put this program together was an important service to all of the government entities throughout the state. And in those days, people bought, maybe if they were really concerned about liability, they'd buy $1 million limit. Some of them were only at 300,000 limit. So over the years, we increased the limits based upon what was happening with the cases, or what was happening with the jury verdicts and settlement requirements and that sort of thing. And then we had one of our members, we initially started with 2 million limit. And then one of our members had a case that went to trial, and the plaintiffs boarded up $5 million demand to the jury. And we got lucky, they got a goose egg. They didn't win the case, but it scared everybody because our limit was 2 million and the city budget was 3.5 million. So we said, what would have happened if that had happened to any number of our members? You'd have to do what had happened way back in the 80s, where City Hall was leased to the plaintiff, or don't transfer title to the plaintiff, who then leased it back to the city, and the city paid off the debt in that regard. So that's the consequence potential. So as a result of that, our board, which by the way, we're formed under the Unequal Cooperation Act. We are local governments. You are owners, along with the fellow governments, 124 of you. And they collectively said, let's group buy 5 million for the one protection. A few years later, they decided to bump it up to 10 million, which is the limit you have now on liability. And at the time we started, nobody had earthquake or flood coverage. And I sat on the Nevada Earthquake Safety Council for a number of years. And, you know, we're number 3 unless you're talking in large magnitude quakes, but we're number 4 if you add in the smaller magnitude quakes in there, and Hawaii moves ahead of us. So there's Alaska, California, Nevada in terms of large magnitude earthquakes, and nobody had coverage. So we included that. So that's why that limit stays in the program, that coverage does. And then on top of everything, since my background was a county risk manager at Washoe County, I was focused on managing the risk. And so in your packet, there's kind of a chart that shows how we organize the relationships between our various groups and programs. And one of our basic mottos is that, you know, we try to connect the dots between members so that they manage the risk together, because collectively we can manage the risk better. We learn from each other. And so we share what we learn from one member with other members so they can avoid that risk. So risk management is a fundamental part of our program in terms of the training component, and law enforcement and general training both been key elements since the beginning. In the law enforcement area, right now we're scheduled in July to do a jail risk assessment for you guys. We started that program a couple of years ago, and we've been rolling it out to our jails around the state as time would permit, including during the shutdown times of the pandemic, where we did virtual inspections of the jails. We have been doing since, I think it was as early as 1988, we started doing law enforcement training. And I would go to all those training courses by our law enforcement consultant in order to get a sense of what they're telling the agencies in order to prevent risk. You're probably aware that the legislature just finished, and as we're looking at the bills, they've left a few law enforcement adjustments out that they were talking about in the special session, but they still got some in. So there's going to be some challenges that come forward. Fortunately, on the training components that they're requiring, we've already had those in place, and we're working to enhance, to make sure that all the law enforcement agencies get the necessary training required by the statute. But we've been ahead of that for a number of years. The biggest component that we have in all county government is human resources. We started a expansive human resource program back in 1996. And it's a comprehensive program that supports your operations. And during the pandemic, I can't remember the total count of alerts, but it was over a dozen alerts with changes in CDC guidance, OSHA guidance, HR implications from the federal labor laws that were all impacted by the pandemic. So those alerts were coming out frequently during this whole time, just to give everybody enough guidance. Then several years ago, we launched an e-learning module. And we just it was last year, we upgraded the platform to a new system, more comprehensive, available. And that platform has served folks well. And so we keep enhancing that. You can put in your own videos and training that you develop. We can put in ones we develop. We're putting the courses that our law enforcement consultant develops, and we're getting post credit for law enforcement for that. We're getting HR credits for different designations from the National HR Conference. So there's a number of things that we're doing along that line. We have users that vary in intensity in terms of the utilization of e-learning, and we encourage you. We have some entities that we call power users, because they put out thousands of course assignments and they have high completion rates. So we encourage you to use that module. Our HR team converted their live courses into e-learning or virtual learning courses throughout the pandemic, including their annual conference. And so that way we could still deliver the services that our members expected and needed. Cybersecurity, we did for you a passive network assessment by our cybersecurity consultant. A few years ago, those assessments cost us about $25,000, $30,000 each. And that gave you a roadmap of security features that you could add to your system. And then we added another service called KnowBe4, which is an anti-phishing. Not that I'm trying to keep trout out of the water, but we're trying to keep fishers out of your networks. But that training is available, and you guys are utilizing that. And so that's a good tool to prevent some of these cyber attacks. Because cyber coverage is starting to disappear in the marketplace, or the rates are going through the roof. A lot of the attacks, and we've had a few, we've been lucky, but our cybersecurity consultant has been able to dive in and resolve those cases without paying very much, if at all, in the ransom payments. So we're very vigilant, and you need to be very vigilant on your end, because for the members that had those shutdowns, it is absolutely disruptive, and it really makes your life miserable. And I think about it when we went to a VoIP phone system, right? And then when the Charter Communications had some network outage, we couldn't use our computers or our phones, other than the cell phones. And that had lasted for a few hours. Imagine that kind of disruption with your IT system, plus all the data that's at risk that you might have, that somebody wants to get a price from you to get your data back. In the back of your packet is the list of members, so you can see the breadth and depth of the types of members that we have. And we rely on those members to contribute to the design of the program. Our board of members decides what the scope of coverage is, what the programs and services that we build into the program are included, and how those are funded. So any questions you might have, we're happy to answer them. And Josh sits on our executive committee, and that's important because we have a big financial responsibility as a pool. And one thing we did this year, we had to make some significant adjustments on our liability structure. This is just the complexity on the liability front, kind of a chart of all the different players. Almost all these players are nonprofit organizations that we work with on providing coverage. On the property, we work with Lloyd's of London, and we have $5 billion worth of property values. Thank you. Property values that we bring to the market when we negotiate on behalf of our members. And we have an excellent loss record with that. So when the market was going haywire on property over the last 2-3 years, we were able to get the best of the worst. Some people were getting 25% increases. We were getting 10. And this year we got less than 6. This little strip right here and this strip across here is Public Risk Mutual, which is a captive insurance company that we formed, domiciled here in Nevada. It's owned by the pool. And that captive the reason we did it is because there's more investment flexibility and more reinsurance market access through that captive that we can share with them. So this last 2 years, we had to use some capacity in this layer excess of 500,000 retention per loss that the pool had. So we had the captive take 300,000 of that 5, but then we had the captive take originally 4% of 100 million excess of 50 million. This year we doubled that. So it's 4% of 300 million excess of 50 million. So we went from 4 million to 8 million of risk. Arguably, it's at the very catastrophic layer. So it's not likely to have losses, but it was a way to make sure we had the capacity filled out. And then from the cyber standpoint, we bear the first 250 at the pool level, and then the captive, which we own, bears the limit of 1 million excess of 2 million. And this amount in between is County Reinsurance Limited, a nonprofit formed out of the National Association of Counties back in 1997. And they're a nonprofit organization that's there for county pools. So that's a lot more than you probably wanted to hear, but I thought it's important so you understand the complexities of what we're dealing with and how we're trying to meet your needs and provide you the coverage that protects you as best we can. So
Any questions?
I'll answer any questions.
Madam Chair, I just have one comment. I've taken several e-learning courses, and they provide a layer of protection, I'm sure, as far as just liability. So they're very well done.
Madam Chair, I'd like to make a motion.
Okay.
We accept the renewal proposal from Nevada Public Agency Insurance Pool and approve payment from fiscal years 2021 funds.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion by Commissioner Gray, seconded by Commissioner Henderson. Any further discussion? Any public comment? Seeing none, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay, motion passes. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you all.
They didn't let you speak.
So I am new this year. Carol Ingalls was an agent for a long time and she passed away. And so I'm coming in as Brad's partner and kind of learning the ropes, and I'm here to provide service and represent you guys and provide all the value added benefits, which is a lot. I think this program is incredible. So I'm really excited to continue to learn and work with you guys in the future.
Well, thanks for coming in with them. You know, I saw you standing there smiling the whole time.
I'm learning too, and next year I will be presenting, so get excited.
I look forward to that.
Okay.
I would only make the very quick comment to the commissioners. A number of you had seen me at prior meetings along with Carol Engels, who was just mentioned. Unfortunately, Carol passed away from COVID actually in February and had served as our municipality manager. And so I just wanted to throw that in so everybody had sort of an idea of what's happening here. Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Okay, number 11, advisory board reports. Do we have anybody on Zoom for an advisory board report today?
I see no hands, Madam Chair.
No hands, okay. Consent agenda. Action will be taken on all items. All matters listed under the consent agenda are considered routine and may be acted upon by the Board of County Commissioners with one action and without an extensive hearing. Any member of the board or any citizen may request that an item be taken from the consent agenda, discussed and acted upon separately during this meeting. Our consent agenda is 12A through 16D. So is there anybody that wants to pull anything? Here's something separately. Seeing none, can I get a motion, please?
Madam Chair, I'd like to make a motion that we approve consent agenda items 12 through 16D.
Second.
Okay, so I got a motion by Commissioner Gray, seconded by I got two, but Commissioner Henderson for the record. Any further discussion? Any public comment? Seeing none, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes. Okay, planning consent items. Action will be taken on all items. We have 17A, and it looks like that's it. Okay, can I get a motion, please?
Move to approve planning item 17A.
Can I get a second?
Second.
Okay, I have a motion by Commissioner Hockaday, seconded by Commissioner Jacobson. Any further discussion? Any public comment? All in favor, signal by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay, motion carries. Okay, now we're going to get to the regular planning items. 18A for possible action. Thunder Carry LLC conditional use permit to allow a recreational marijuana retail sales facility within an existing building on a 0.92 acre parcel zone CC community commercial located at 10115 US 50 Mound House, Nevada, APN 016-242-16 PLZ-2021-035. And we have Mr. Pizell. There you are.
Yes, you do, actually.
And have the applicant.
Yeah.
Okay, I thought that was you over there, but I wanted to make sure. Okay. Go ahead, Mr. Pizell. I was just trying to find where everybody was.
Not a problem. Again, for the record, this is Rob Pizell, Senior Planner with Lyon County Planning Department. The applicants are requesting a conditional use permit to convert an existing approximately 4,600 plus square foot bar restaurant building on an approximate 0.92 acre parcel into a recreational marijuana sales facility. It has the existing building has an upper floor which would contain the retail sales portion, while the second floor, the lower floor, would be used for office spaces and storage. The board may recall they recently approved both a master plan amendment to change land use designation from employment to commercial, and a zoning map amendment to change the zoning from M1 general industrial zoning district to CC community commercial on this subject site. In summary, the existing access to the former to the site comes from both US 50 and Kit Kat Drive. NDOT will require a new NDOT occupancy permit for the new use, as well as a change in ownership. That's their standard condition for occupancy permits. And Lyon County Road and Fleet Department did want to require a new encroachment permit if a new access onto Kit Kat Drive is sought for to access the rear of the existing building. Do want to note that we did receive a comment from Mound House Advisory indicating that they did review the application at their May 4th meeting of this year, and they forwarded their support for the application. And at their May 11th meeting of this year, at their regularly scheduled meeting, the Lyon County Planning Commission did vote unanimously to forward a recommendation of approval based on the findings and recommended conditions of approval. With that, I'll try to answer any questions. The applicant's representative, I believe, is here as well.
Okay, thank you. Before the applicants speak, do we have any specific questions for the applicants? Nobody? Okay, go ahead.
Ashley Ernst, and this is Russell Ernst. We are the applicants that are looking for the property on Highway 50. We are the only dispensary. I know there was one previously before, but we were the ones that purchased the license if there was any questions about it. We are local Northern Nevadans, so if you guys do have any questions, we're happy to answer, and we look forward to working with the community.
Okay, I just have a couple of questions for Mr. Pizell. And that is, I was just kind of reading through this. I know we had approved one before that, anyways, we won't get into where the license went and why we're talking this, but my only ask on this is as far as security, has that all been addressed in this conditional use permit based on a lot of the comments and stuff that we had the first time around?
Yes.
Okay, so I was kind of like looking through them and I didn't have the other one in front of me to kind of compare. And that was my main question, is that we were addressing the same this time as we did the first time around as far as those security issues. So. Okay, well, if nobody has any questions, I'll entertain a motion.
Madam Chair, I move that we approve item 18B for a conditional use permit to allow recreational marijuana retail and sales facility within an existing building on the 0.92 acre parcel, subject to the conditions as listed in the application.
Second.
Who's my second? Oh, okay. So we have a motion by Commissioner Henderson, seconded by Commissioner Gray. Any further questions? Any public comment? Do we have any public comment on Zoom, Jeff?
Oh, ma'am.
Okay, and I see none here, so all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed?
Thank you.
Good luck.
Thank you.
It's been a long road.
Oh, it's an adventure, always.
I will run you over on the way home. 18B for possible action, Judy A., I'm probably gonna say this wrong, but Lissy zoning map amendment request to allow a change of current zoning district from C2 general commercial to SR2 suburban residential 2 acre minimum on approximately 2.75 acre parcel located at 421 V&T Way, Dayton, Nevada, APN 19-262-05, PLZ 2021-048. Mr. Pizell.
Thank you. Again, for the record, Rob Pizell, Lyon County Planning Department. This is a zoning map amendment request to convert a property which is currently zoned commercial to residential. As the board may recall, we've done a number of these rezonings in this area of V&T Way. The property itself has a land use designation of suburban residential. However, the zoning does not match that land use. As you'll note in the staff report, there is a number of these that have occurred. It would implement the 2010 Comprehensive Master Plan land use designation for the area, in which the property the subject parcel is located. It would further implement several goals, policies, and strategies of the 2010 Comprehensive Master Plan. The request would allow the property owner to avoid having to receive approval of a conditional use permit for any expansion of the existing non-conforming use of a single-family residential dwelling unit in a commercially zoned parcel. We did receive notification from the Dayton Regional Advisory Board that they had reviewed the rezoning request and were supportive, had no concerns. And we would note that at their May 11th meeting, the Planning Commission did vote unanimously to forward a recommendation of approval based on the findings included in the staff report. I'll try to answer any questions. I'm not sure if the applicant is present at the meeting.
Do we have any questions for the applicant or for Mr. Pizell? Case, Commissioner Jacobson.
Madam Chair, I'd like to make a motion that we approve 18B, approve zoning map amendment to the change of current zoning district from C2 general commercial to SR2 suburban residential 2-acre minimum on the 2.7 acre parcel located at 421 V&T Way, Dayton, Nevada. APN 019-26205. PLZ 2021-048.
Second.
Okay, does that include the findings A through C? Is it saying the proposed amendment is consistent with the policies?
Yeah, there's 3 findings.
Yep.
Yes, and the 3 findings, A, B, and C.
Thank you.
Second still stands.
Okay, we have a motion by Commissioner Jacobson, seconded by Commissioner Gray. Any further discussion? Any public comment?
Not seeing any, ma'am.
Seeing none, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay, motion carries. Okay, 18C for possible action, Patricia Blake, zoning map amendment. Request to allow a change of the current zoning district of C2 general commercial and RR1 rural residential 1-acre minimum to SR1 suburban residential 1-acre minimum on approximately 8.03 acres of an approximately 24.02 acre subject site generally located approximately 0.5 miles south of the SR 339 Goldfield Avenue US 95A intersection at 56 SR 339 Yarrington, Nevada, APN 014-421-14 PLZ 2021-049. Mr. Pizell.
Thank you. Again, for the record, Rob Pizell, Senior Planner with Lyon County Planning Department. In summary, basically the parcel currently has split zoning, both C2 on the northern portion and RR1 on the southern portion. There is an existing single-family residence on the southern portion within the area of the property that's zoned for residential. The property owner wishes to place another detached single-family residential dwelling unit on the northern portion of the property that we located within the commercial zoning district. As you know, residential uses are not permitted within commercial zoning districts. For that reason, the applicant is looking to rezone the property to a residential zoning district to cover both, to remove the split zoning on the property. They'll come back through and process a parcel map to split the property and develop the northern portion where the map amendment is occurring to develop the second residence. So we will have one residence on each parcel. We would like to note that in their May meeting, again, the Planning Commission by majority vote, 5-1, did vote to forward a recommendation of approval of the zoning map amendment to the Board of Commissioners based on the findings listed in the staff report.
Okay, any questions for Mr. Pizell? Seeing none, can I get a motion?
Madam Chair, I'd like to make a motion that we approve item 18C as presented, subject to the 3 findings.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion by Commissioner Gray, seconded by Commissioner Henderson. Any further discussion? Any public comment?
Seeing none, ma'am.
Seeing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay, motion carries. Okay, Okay, now we're going to get back to the regular agenda. 19A for possible action to give direction to the county manager regarding potential changes to Title 15 and other matters related thereto. So real quickly, does any of the commissioners have anything, any new requests at this time? Seeing none, do we have any updates or reports from the former requests?
I anticipate that you'll start seeing language coming out. We were looking at a comprehensive bill. We've decided to break them down individually because some could be more controversial than others, and not want to get something that's simple like airport overlay tied in with something that's a little more complicated. And so we're working with that. The district attorney, myself, Mr. Feisel met last week, had a number of conversations in regards to that. So I anticipate that beginning in July, you'll start to see draft ordinances coming forward for the board to review and comment on.
Okay.
And as further note, specifically those commissioners with specific items, we will send whatever we come up with to them so they can comment, make sure we're meeting what their intent was. So when it comes to the board, we're not having to go back and change a bunch of stuff.
Everybody good? Okay. 19B for possible action, discussion, direction to staff and legislative coalition members regarding the legislation or legislative issues proposed by legislators or by other entities permitted by the Nevada State Legislature to submit bill draft requests or such legislative issues that may impact Lyon County as may be deemed appropriate to the Board of County Commissioners. And you just left it on there, so I would have to read it again. So you want to just tell us how bad it was, or are we going to save that for a future date?
Walker and Associates will be here next board meeting. We'll set them for time specific. I will not be here, if you recall, but they will be here to present, to give you the good news, the bad news, and the ugly news.
Was there good news?
Yeah. It's like,
Yeah, May 31st came and it's done.
exactly. So I knew it.
Right. And there was actually some good legislation that came out that helped us and didn't harm us. So there was kudos to those of you who were involved in the process, who were asked to either testify, or NACO or our lobbyists sought your thought processes. AB 424 is a perfect example. No, I didn't get everything that we really wanted with that bill in regards to pre-trial issues, but it was better than what it started out as. And so we were able, and kudos to both sides of the house on that issue. They both were willing to work with local government. I will tell you that it started out with a number of counties, and the last conversations that Josh and I were involved in, it was strictly a Lyon County show as to what the concerns were. And quite honestly, the committee chair, I can't remember her name, but she's from Las Vegas, was very supportive of what we were saying and worked very hard to try to meet us halfway. So I do appreciate that. Other than that, Mary and Steve will be here to give you a full in-depth review. I do ask, because I won't be here, they try on that particular Thursday where we set time specific, they are then getting in a car and driving as fast as they can to Douglas County. So if we can stay on schedule and get them in at the time specific so they can make all their, I told them I would ask since I won't be here. But yeah, I anticipate that we'll have some more information. There's a number of bills that came out that I'm not really sure what they mean yet. So we're just kind of waiting to see what that looks like. And we'll give you further reports.
Okay. 19C for possible action to authorize Commissioner Wes Henderson to attend the 2021 National Association of Counties Annual Conference in Prince George's County, Maryland, and to authorize the expenditure of funding for travel, registration, and per diem. And I had requested this because it came up, COVID last year, all these things going on. Anyways, I thought it would be kind of nice if we sent somebody to the national this year in person. And Commissioner Henderson stepped up and said that he would like to go. So do we, what I didn't look into, and Commissioner Henderson, maybe you had an opportunity and maybe Josh did, what kind of costs we would be authorizing if we do this?
Josh Foley, Lyon County Comptroller for the record. I don't have actual costs. Usually it runs anywhere from $5,000 to $6,000, it seems like, for that, depending on all the different pieces, airfare. But if some of the airplane tickets are a lot cheaper these days, so you might be able to do better. So my recommendation would be maybe just put an upper limit on it, or just authorize it and say to be funded out of contingency, because I'm not sure exactly how much it's going to be until you make all the reservations and hotels and all those things. You're not going to be certain.
Madam Chair, if I may.
Yes.
I just want to make a comment. And the reason, when Commissioner Keller approached me about this, I asked for it to be on this agenda because the early bird registration expires June 11th, I believe. So that way we can save a couple $100 if we register early.
Right. Kind of jump on this quick enough.
Some good news for someone.
And I'm a pretty good shopper for airfare and hotels.
This is the guy that came from jail, so.
Commissioner Gray, you have your hand up?
Yeah, Madam Chair, I'd like to make a motion that we approve item 19C with funds to come out of contingency.
Madam Chair, I'd like to make a second, assuming though, or hoping that he doesn't have too much fun. All right.
Well, no, we want him to have a little fun.
For God's sakes, he's going to Prince George County. There ain't nothing there.
Okay, I have a motion by Commissioner Gray, second by Commissioner Jacobson. Is there any further discussion? Any public comment?
No, ma'am.
All right, all in favor, signal by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay, motion carries. 19D for possible action, approve, amend, or deny Resolution 21-12A, a resolution of the Lyon County Board of Commissioners to request the Nevada Department of Transportation to collaborate and coordinate with Lyon County to develop and implement a traffic access management plan for the Highway 95 alternate corridor in Lyon County and the Highway 50 alternate corridor in Silver Springs. And this again was also requested by me. Oh, I've just been busy, haven't I?
Jeff Page, County Manager for the record. So in the past 25 to 30 years, the county has pushed NDOT to do some access management along the Highway 50 corridor. Not so much on 95A, but mainly on the Highway 50 corridor. We've had fairly decent success with getting things done. We through a great deal of effort by Commissioner Gray and former Commissioner Hastings, and prior to that with Commissioner Mills, the fortune in Highway 50, when we developed that area, Commissioner Mills pushed to make sure that it was set up so that we would have a traffic light as an example. And then Commissioner Gray pushed very hard with NDOT to get the traffic light, even though it didn't meet warrants. So NDOT is not opposed to working with us. What we're looking to do is develop some common sense access management on the 95A corridor from Yerington to from Fernley to Schurz. So that it's just not Silver Springs, but it's the entire 95A corridor. So we can keep 95A as being a highway and not a boulevard. And then the portion of Highway 50 alternate that it runs through Silver Springs to Churchill County line, the same thing, so that as businesses start to expand or grow because every business wants to be on the highway corridor, right? Because you want to be seen, easy access, and I got no problem with that. But I just don't want to have, every other block traffic coming on to 95A. I'm not worried about the right-hand turns. It's those left-hand turns. I'll give you a perfect example. Leaving the Boys and Girls Club yesterday to get back to Yerington, I was there for I was right behind the Kellers, and I had to wait 3.5 minutes to make a left-hand turn.
It's because she was on her phone.
What was that?
Because she was on her phone.
No, she was already gone. I sat there.
I was just gonna say, no.
So we're trying to work with the NDOT to we have something that's common sense, not only for today but for the future, because that's the problem, right? So when Highway 50 went from being a 2-lane to a 4-lane, we were all excited about it, and everything we put in place way back when a 4-lane was good for the time. Nobody expected to have the traffic that we have today, and so we kind of want to work with the NDOT planning staff to what does it look like, worst case scenario, 10, 15, 25, 30 years down the road. God forbid government should actually look for something further than the next day, but that's what we're kind of looking at doing. So This resolution, when we talked with NDOT, they said, we appreciate a letter of support or something going to the director saying, hey, we want to do this. So we put together a resolution and to send to the director of NDOT. So now they know where we stand and we want to sit down and have a discussion.
Any questions? Commissioner Henderson.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just have a comment, and I certainly support this, and I really kind of almost sad that we have to have a resolution to encourage NDOT to work with us. But all the whereases and the first 3 or 4, except for the third whereas, specifically mention 95A or 95A and 50A. The third whereas, it says the Lyon County Board of Commissioners supports and encourages commercial and industrial business growth and expansion in Lyon County. For consistency basis, we may want to consider adding along 95A and 50A in that so that the whole thing is comprehensive.
Okay.
Sounds good.
Then we can accept a motion with that amendment and I'll change it and we'll get it signed.
Okay. Any other questions, comments? You want to put that into a motion?
Absolutely, Madam Chair. I move that we approve Resolution 21-12 with the changes expressed in the third whereas to include a reference to highways 95A and 50A.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion by Commissioner Henderson, seconded by Commissioner Gray. Any further discussion? Public comment? Seeing none, all in favor signal by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Okay, let's get the ball rolling.
I'm done.
You just realized that was the last one of yours? Okay. Okay, we're gonna have to take a 5-minute break here soon. So where are we at?
Well, let's do it now.
Okay, yeah, I was just looking to see where I was at. Okay, so we're gonna come back to this one. We're gonna take 5 minutes. We'll be right back.
If we do it now, we can hammer out the rest of us.
Well, that's what I'm trying to do is get to the end here.
We could have. I have confidence. It's not because of my socks.
5 minutes, set the timer.
Oh, stop it, Dave. Have you ever read around the license plates as sometimes when I get there? Yeah.
I'll tell you a funny, I've got a funny story, not license plate names. So she's on hard and wrong. Except these ones are wrong. Storage or something. Yeah. But it's a little annoying that we're in the it's hard to see faces.
Around Lakeland Day, I tried to sneak into class. Professors sneak through the back. Yep. Yes. What they used to say when you're like military.
That's a good one. I've used that one many times over the years.
What else is happening over Dayton Way?
Not much. We're still putting together our 4th of July parade.
And I'm gonna enter that. What time, or what day, 4th of July?
On the 4th of July.
What time though?
It actually is on the 4th of July.
Right, I'm gonna be in the Fernley one, I know for sure, but Yeah, what time is yours in one?
Steps off at 10 o'clock.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's been a problem and with a new kid on the block, so lots of commitments made by color guards and things like that. It's growing.
Yeah.
I'm hoping that it will become the biggest little parade in
Northern
Nevada, because you can sit in the same spot on whichever side of the street you want to see the bird coming, see them going back the other way.
Yeah. How's historic downtown Dayton's business going?
We first formed our nonprofit. There was one of our original members that said, I don't think anybody cares. And I'm sure you see it, lots of activity at school. Nobody really cares. The members are convinced that it's where it's always been. One of the historic folks was about to say, why are you bothered? Historic buildings fall down all the time. Well, yeah, we were hoping maybe we could prevent them from happening. Well, fall down all the time, disappears. And the new people that are coming in, have kids in school and youth soccer and basketball and flowers growing in their backyard, and so scratching around. There's not a lot of incentive to establish things in Old Town Dayton. There's possibilities, I see. I came from one country. I see a lot that you can say.
Potential.
I haven't, to be honest, I haven't tried to deal with the permit process. I understand it's very cumbersome. It takes a long time. I don't know that. Yeah, about some of the activities, they seem to be very willing to help.
Just so you know that the pain is shared. So I'm trying to build a 40 by 60 garage on my place. I got a smoking deal on it from Pete Brothers Construction. They bought it from someone. It was stamped in 2018. The specs haven't changed. It's been on a trailer. Hasn't. You get my drift here? But because it was 2018 stamped, I've got to have it re-engineered and get it stamped. It's never been put up. It's still in
the box.
Still, so in the box.
And the other thing, just for what it's worth, the frustration we ran into in a foreign country was sometimes it can be stamped by the metal buildings, Butler building. I used a lot of Butler buildings engineer in Minneapolis. So you take it down to the county and we'll say, that's not California. So you got to start all over again. And the engineer you hire here just reviews the specs and stamps it again. It just costs you
$4,000.
You know,
So if I don't get the contractor that's going to put it out is working on getting that company to send a new set of stamps on it. But if they don't, it's going to cost me about $4,000 to have a civil engineer go through it and maybe design using the same specs. 110 mile wind speed, the weight, snow weight load, all that means the city of Fern Lake. Killing me.
yeah. And then it's 40 by 60. So is it being classified as a shop? Garage? There's ag shop building, ag garage. Shop. That was another thing, I guess. There's a code section that says over a certain size, it's not a garage. So all you do is garage. This says shop. This says garage. Just a line on the paper. Okay, because you can't have, you know, in our county, you couldn't have a garage over a certain size. So I've done it, it's not a garage. Three door shop.
No, business. Oh, well.
So I don't know, now that we've discovered that the music festivals that are starting up, I'm more excited. Maybe we could just
Crazy baskets. Crazy folks, dancing folks, go to a music festival. Put our head against the wall. Yeah. Yeah. I don't know what it is about you, but you do make me laugh. That's probably bad for you. That's poorly of you. No, but I can't get up and say I just spent the day in jail. It's a real idea. We're all thinking about time. We're all thinking, who are God's creators, bailed him out. They let me walk out the door, 3 minutes. Okay, you're up, don't leave. Oh.
Is our audio on, Jeff?
Mr. Page.
Testing, 1, 2, 3. Dave Ray, if you can hear me.
We're good.
There you go. Audio's
We're
on.
good? Okay.
Okay.
All right, we're gonna call this meeting back to order and go back to 20A for possible action to adopt a resolution authorizing the transfer of funds for FY 2020 to 2021 from various line items, including contingency with the general fund and capital improvements fund as authorized by NRS 354.598005. That threw me 2020 to 2021 because everything's been 2021 to 2022. I wasn't sure if I had, I had to look twice if I was reading it right.
Yes.
Mr. Foley.
Josh Foley, Lyon County Comptroller for the record. So this is a summary of the contingency items that the board has adopted over the year. It just puts it in one nice format. When the associations ask for history, you can just hand them one document. It gives you one resolution to sign during the year instead of a bunch. The only new thing on here that the board hasn't considered is something I brought up in my comments at the last meeting, which is at the Valley View Cemetery, the well failed, and there's $20,000 that's included in this that you hadn't considered previously that would take care of that well being fixed. So I'm here for any questions if you have any.
Questions for Mr. Foley?
Madam Chair, I'd like to make a motion that we approve item 20A as presented by Mr. Foley. Second.
Okay, we have a motion by Commissioner Gray, seconded by Commissioner Henderson. Any further discussion?
Yeah, can I have Mr. Foley's tie? Because it kind of matches mine. Get little elephants on there, so do I.
I know, I like his tie.
Awesome. I didn't notice there were elephants. I need to get closer and see.
All right, guys, any public comments? Seeing none, all in favor, signal by saying aye.
Aye. Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, Mr. Foley. 20B, approve the fee resolution for all Lyon County departments for fiscal year 2021-2022. Now, see that one read normal.
Yes. Josh Foley, Lyon County Comptroller for the record. Each year we come before the board to adopt a resolution for the next fiscal year to show any changes that have been recommended. The departments went through these, and these are all recommendations by different department heads. Just to give a summary, and it's in your packet, but just in case, for the record, it's adding a fee for temporary liquor license. So they're on for profit entities. So we never used to do temporary liquor licenses for profit entities. It was really just for the not-for-profits that would go like to different events, Oodles and Noodles or whatever. And I don't know if they sell liquor there or not, but fair and rodeo and those type of things. But a commissioner a few years ago came in and decided that they wanted to do a liquor event out in front of their establishment. So this got added in. So we're doing temporary liquor licenses for no charge for for-profit entities out there. And we have people that are coming in saying, hey, we want to do this, this, and this. And it's like, well, we should, if we're issuing a temporary liquor license, they really should pay similar fees to what everyone else is. So that was what the court treasurer recommended. And then going down to the master plan map fees, just cleaning up some language there and making a match what our actual costs are. Floodplain development permits. Now that we don't have someone in-house that's taking care of that, we need to charge whoever's asking for those. And then the $4 concealed weapon permit fee that you've already heard about. And then utilities, they went through all of their charges and looked at what it was actually taking time to do, and we increased minor increases on a number of them based on actual time on their side. So that's a summary. If you have any questions, I will feel free to let the department heads come up.
Any questions on the fees?
Yeah, who added, who requested the add to the $4 the concealed weapons permits fee?
The sheriff came in and asked for the ability to do a software program that would make it more efficient for them. And so that was one. You approved it. Seems like it was in April timeframe. And so the board approved it unanimously, and we let you know we'd be coming back to add that to the charge because it's a hard charge on our side.
Got it.
Any other questions? Motion, please.
Madam Chair, I'd like to move that we approve item 20B as presented by Mr. Foley.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion by Commissioner Henderson, seconded by Commissioner Jacobson. Any further discussion? Public comment? Seeing none, all in favor signal by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Foley. So under the district attorney, you actually have your own line item today. 21A for possible action, propose an ordinance amending Lyon County Code Title II, Personnel Regulations, Chapter 1, General Personnel Provisions, Section 4, by adding a section that requires the Board of County Commissioners to adopt a travel policy governing officer and employee travel reimbursements and requests, renumbering subchapters that are unchanged, and providing for the severability and constitutionality and effective date thereof, and other matters properly relating thereto. Mr. Wright.
Good morning, Madam Chair. Steve Wright, DA. That's a mouthful.
It
This came to light during the last policy you adopted on commissioner travel, an oversight that we're supposed to have a county ordinance governing travel. We've had it in the personnel policies and administrative policies for many years. This is just a cleanup ordinance to add in that we're setting the travel regulations and policies by separate policy.
Okay, and all you need is it to be proposed today.
Right. If it's proposed by one of the commissioners, we'll set it for a public hearing, notice it, and then have the hearing on the ordinance.
Okay, any
Madam-
questions for Mr. Rye? Okay,
Madam Chair, I'd like to propose the ordinance amending Lyon County Code Title II, Personnel Regulations, Chapter 1, General Personnel Provisions, Section 4, by adding a section that requires the Board of County Commissioners to adopt a travel policy governing officer and employee travel reimbursements and requests, renumbering subchapters that are unchanged. Is that correct? Okay.
Yes.
And providing for the severability, constitutionality, and effective date thereof, and other matters related properly thereto.
okey-dokey.
Thank you.
Been proposed. Thank you. Okay, under utilities, 22A, for information only, a presentation from the utilities director on the background, history, and current operational practices associated with the Willow Creek General Improvement District Board. Mr. Briquetta.
Madam Chair, Commissioners, David Briquetta, Utilities Director for the record. So before I ask for money, I thought it would be good to get a little background here of what Willow Creek GID is. So there's about 5 or 6 slides here, and Jeff can kind of go through them. What this really shows is where's the Willow Creek GID. You can see it's just north of Urington. It's just outside the Urington line. And that map gives you kind of a perspective of where it's at. So the GID started back in 1965, and it actually started as Penrose Country Club Estates. It was a proposed golf course and 240, just under 250 homes. I think it's about 244 homes there for the subdivision. Next slide. And then in 1985, the county, when it was started as Penrose, it was a water and sewer system that was privately owned and operated. Then in 1985, the county created ordinance and took it over, and it was formed as a Willow Creek General Improvement District. And then in 2005, what we did is, because of its location, it was easiest to do an agreement for both water and for sewer to have Urington operate and take care of the facilities. So they're the 2 agreements that we have for water and sewer services. Just to give you some perspective there, this was in 2005-6 timeframe, there was an upgrade to the facility where the water lines were updated, the sewer lines were updated, and the treatment plant was expanded. And what you see there in the picture is you can see the big main area there in the center of the screen. That's the Willow Creek GID. In the upper left-hand section of it, you see a very small little treatment plant. It's a pond. It's a very simple wastewater treatment plant called a lagoon system. I lost my controller.
I lost my controller.
Just walked away on you.
I take it to college.
Just scroll down.
Slide 7.
There we go. Resources on fire station.
So in 2007, what we also did is we did an interlocal agreement with the city of Yerington. There's a subdivision that is within Yerington called the Grant Estates. And it was for 65 homes. They have a final map for 65 homes. And we said, instead of building another treatment plant or having it plumbed down to the Yerington treatment plant, they put in a connection into the Willow Creek treatment plant. So that was done in 2007. There's some actual activity that's going on right now with that. So we're working conjunctively with City of Yerington on it. Next slide. At the 2007, we also did an agreement with the Shawnee Ranch, which is located just north of the wastewater treatment plant. And what this is for is effluent discharge. So in the past, they basically had a large holding pond. It was a big evaporation pond. And they said, as the flows come up, eventually we'll have a discharge. So the discharge would eventually go out into the fields associated with the Shawnee Ranch. We've never actually had a discharge from the plant itself, but we do have an agreement in place in case we do need to discharge. There is a discharge permit issued to both the treatment plant and the Shawnee Ranch. So it's covered under that aspect. This gives you a perspective for just to show you the water lines. Again, in the center of the screen is the GID. Water is provided by the city of Yerington. And then just south of that, you can see the location of the Grand Estates proposed subdivision also. This shows the green is the sewer lines. So the sewer lines for the Grand Estates and within Willow Creek itself. And then the upper left-hand corner is the treatment plant itself. This is just kind of a zoom in. Willow Creek has one lift station associated with it. There's a list of items that we're going to need to do to correct a couple of things. It's in our action item list, but I just wanted to show that, you know, for that entire subdivision right now, the gravity flows to one called the Willow Creek lift station. This is just a close-up of the upgraded system itself. And what you see is it's two what are called facultative ponds, but it's two ponds that does the treatment work. And then the holding basin is the larger pond there to the left. Yeah, sorry, go ahead. And then really what this is it shows some discharge permits. Back when the facility was permitted, it was designed for 66,000 gallons a day. Currently, we're flowing about 15,000 gallons a day into that. Just give you a perspective, you know, the Dayton a wastewater treatment plant, you know, that's around 700,000 to 800,000 gallons a day. So this services right now about 100 homes. You know, with a lot of the development coming, I see, you know, hopefully we'll get some more flows coming out of this. But one of the things to note, and it's in our action item list, is in 2012, and we're not really clear why, but in 2012, both the discharge permit for the treatment plant and for the Shawnee Ranch were lowered from 66,000 gallons a day to 49,000 gallons a day. So it's something that we're going to have to work with the regulatory agencies to try and get that back, but it won't impact us in the near future. It's just work that we need to do to correct a few issues. So that was a discharge permit, and then this last one is just the discharge permit for the Shawnee Ranch. So what I attached, and I won't go through this in detail, but what I attached is, you know, we're working in conjunction with the city of Yerington because they basically operate, they complete the discharge monitoring reports. There's a variety of things that need to be done. We did have some discharge violations last year. And so what we want to do is put some controls in place through Lyon County Utilities so that we can ensure that we don't run into future problems with the regulatory agency. So we've created a action item list that's going to go through the treatment plant itself. It's going to go through the collection system, and we're going to assign it to various people. And this really kind of leads us into the next item. I just wanted to give you a general overview of kind of where it's at, some background history, and then it'll go into the next item. So that's all I have for this.
Any questions for Mr. Paquette?
I just have one.
Commissioner.
I'm looking at the agreement for the use of the treated effluent from 2007. And it said under the recitals, it says the user will be compensated for one-time only field preparation cost of $110,000. Was that paid back then?
Yes. That was when they set up the initial field set up on the Shawnee Ranch.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Okay, and you're not asking for
Nope.
anything today. So
That's the next agenda.
no, I don't have to read it in.
Yeah, so this was just for information only, to give you a perspective.
Okay, 22B for possible action, they fund a request in amount not to exceed $27,000 from the American Rescue Plan Act for SCADA upgrades, aerator motor replacements, and electrical equipment needed to install a future aerator at the Willow Creek GID wastewater treatment plant.
Okay, so what I wanted to give you a little background on that, because what we need to do is we need to do some inspections out there. We have some concerns that there could be some liner integrity issues. So the first thing that we're going to need to do is, well, I showed you there's two ponds, and both of them have to be, they have certain aerators in them. The way that that was set up is it has to flow from one pond to the next. So what we want to do is we want to create a redundant system through some upgrades that our staff will put in to help bring some of these costs down, so that we can stick in the second aerator into one of the ponds and bring all the flow into that, so that we can start cleaning each one of the ponds out, so that we can do inspection of the liner itself. So each basin is lined with a special liner, and we have some nitrogen increasing in some of the wells. And so our concern is that maybe one of those liners underneath could be compromised. So this is a step that we need to take to be able to look down into that component of the system. So that's the electrical. The other component of this has to do with flows. And so it's asking for a request for some flow information to update some of the transmitters, so that we, Lyon County Utilities, can actually see the flows of the plant. It was never set up that way. So, we're 100% reliant upon the city of Yerington. And again, we want to take back some understanding, some ownership, some control of it, because we're the ones who are responsible for the discharge monitoring reports. So it's updating the flow information, it's updating the electrical and controls. And then one of the key components to any wastewater treatment plant is its core aeration system. And some of the motors that they have out there, when the electricals were put in, it's a very rudimentary system. And so it's updating some of the motors so that it'll work with the electrical controls. So those three items, with us, our staff doing the work, comes out just a little under $27,000.
Any questions for Mr. Paquette?
Madam Chair, I'd like to make a motion that we approve item 22B as presented. Mr. Burketta.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion by Commissioner Gray, seconded by Commissioner Jacobson. Any further discussion? Any public comment? Seeing none, all in favor, signal by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay, you got your money. Go. Now you can go sit down.
I thought you were fun and allow us to.
Why do you gotta be so mean to him?
Hey.
Oh, David knows I like him. He does a great job. Okay, now we're gonna okay, wait a minute. Who's my first and who's my seconds when we move forward on
We've only got one.
We only got one. We're good.
I'll make the motion.
Come on, I was gonna get you all
I'll
set up.
second.
Okay. Recess to reconvene as the Willow Creek General Improvement District Board. 23, public participation. And again, this is anything that's not on the agenda. So anybody want to take their 3 minutes at this time? All right, seeing none. Comptroller 24A for possible action, approve debt management policy and capital improvement plan for 2021-2022. Mr. Foley.
Josh Foley, Lyon County Comptroller for the record. This is a statutory requirement that we take a look at what debt is there and how we plan to pay it each year. And there's approximately $894,000 in sewer debt for the Willow Creek General Improvement District for when they did the plant modifications back in 2004 through 8 time frame. So this is just outlining that we have the funds to pay it and how we're doing.
I'm sure we can make a motion to approve item 24A as presented then.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion by Commissioner Gray, seconded by Commissioner Henderson. Any further discussion? Public comment? Seeing none, all in favor, signal by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay, 25A for possible action, review and accept the claims and financial reports.
So, motion to approve item 28A is presented.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion by Commissioner Gray, seconded by Commissioner Henderson. Any further discussion? Public comment? Seeing none, all in favor, signal by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? I'm like,
Wake up down
okay.
there. It was a delayed eye.
We had delayed ayes, but we did have 5.
Don't mind.
Okay, public participation. Seeing none, we're going to adjourn to reconvene as the Lyon County Board of Commissioners. Agenda request. Any commissioner having a quick, Commissioner Henderson?
Yes, ma'am. And these requests are actually for the first meeting in July, if that's possible. I'd like to have an agenda item to talk about the board setting possible future dates and locations for county commission meetings outside of the city of Yerington. And then also, if possible, it would be nice if we could have a presentation from representatives of the federal land management agencies. The federal land management, BLM and Forest Service, about their policies with regard to public lands in Lyon County.
Anybody else? Okay, commissioner comments. Commissioner Gray.
Oh, wow.
Oh, I started with you this morning. Hang on, back up. Commissioner Hawkins.
No comments.
Hey, I got a smiling down there. Commissioner Henderson.
No comments.
Commissioner Jacobson.
Madam Chair, thank you. I would just like to give a great big thank you to my fellow commissioners for being patient with me. I retire from my job of 30 years, more or less on Friday. And I just want to thank you for your patience as I work through that. I know I missed some events here, and I was very clear when I was running for this position that I had this job. Very proud to say I was an educator for 30 years, but as I move on, I am tickled to now have this as my main focus. And I just want to thank all of you, Mr. Page, for your folks' patience, and apologize to the public for missing some of those things. Really, I have no excuse now. So hold my feet to the fire. Thank you.
Well, at least you weren't lazing around on the beach in Hawaii.
And you've been here for the important stuff.
I appreciate that.
Just so you know, you're not required to be at every community event.
Exactly.
I understand that as well,
As long as we have one representative.
but I will do better.
Okay, Commissioner Gray.
Yeah, where was I? Oh, would like to say thanks. We did a great tour and got a great presentation from Polymer 80 yesterday out at their facility. And it's amazing the fiscal impact they have on our county and what they're doing out there. It's a great business, and hoping we don't lose it. The fiscal, what would their projected revenues for this year? $72 million. So didn't realize we had a company in Lyon or in Dayton specifically that had those kind of revenues, and it was really neat to see their actual serialized. They make firearms and parts, and it was really neat to see on the handle of the gun, not only made in America but made in Dayton, Nevada, and it was pretty darn neat. So, and it's a great firearm too. It is, yeah, it's a great firearm. I'll just leave it at that. But that's all I've got.
Okay. Well, I don't really have anything to add other than, hey, we had a great day. We're getting out of here early. And we do have a closed session, correct? No, we don't?
No.
Oh, sweet. Okay. So with that being said, I'm going to go to our final public participation. Is there anybody that would like to speak at this time on anything that was not agendized today? Do we have any hands online?
I see nothing.
Seeing none. Mr. Wright, you're good?
Jeff told me to slap me if I got.
Okay, I guess that means you're going to lunch instead. All right, we're adjourned.
Good job, everybody.